In this video, we're going to take a look at how to use the Layers panel in Photoshop. Layers are really a core part of what makes Photoshop Photoshop. There's no stacking within layers like there is in Illustrator or InDesign. If you take a look at the wireframe PSD in the exercise files, Chapter 4, 0401, you'll see an example of a wireframe file that we're working towards. Not only are there layers in the Layers panel, there are also layer folders. I'm just going to twirl one of them open so you can see some of the layers in this document. It's actually got quite a few layers, and we'll take a look at this in more detail. We'll also take a look at using layer folders in the next video. For right now, let's just look at the basics of using layers in Photoshop. So I'm going to switch over to a new document, and I'm going to grab the rectangle tool. In previous videos, we were looking at creating a shape with the rectangle tool. This time I want to choose pixels up in the control bar. I'm going to go over to the Layers panel and click the New Layer button. I'm going to just draw out a rectangle, and I'm going to draw a second rectangle. So these rectangles right now are not live objects, they're pixels. Now if I were in Illustrator or InDesign, I might expect that I could right-click on this and say move to back or move to front. But in Photoshop, when I'm working with pixels, there is no back or front. I'm just in a layer. These rectangles are no longer two separate objects. They're now one big block of pixels. So if I were to switch to the Move tool and try and move one of these rectangles, it actually moves the entire block of pixels. I'm going to go down to the Layers panel and click the New Layer button again. And this time, when I select the Rectangle tool and draw a new rectangle, I've drawn it right on top of the other two, or the other one, I should say now, the one object. And I'll reselect the Move tool in the toolbar. Now I can drag this individual layer around by itself. So it's important to understand that if you want content to stand alone, it needs to be in its own layer in Photoshop. As we create more layers for each bit of content in our wireframe, our Layers panel is quickly going to get overrun. So in the next video, we'll take a look at creating layer folders to organize that content.